Stevens. I'm the area sales manager for Sierra Nevada. I cover the states of Missouri and Kansas, and have over about 22 wholesaler networks that I cover with in my territory. Been in the beverage business now for almost 15 years. I love it. The beer industry is probably the best thing to be part of, to sell in, and I have no complaints with the job that I do. Just want to do a brief little introduction with our speaker to be tonight, Mike Barrows. He's been with Sierra Nevada now for 17 years. Been a brewer for 11 of those years now, correct? And he is. I've had him here all week. We've been just doing various things. I've been taking him sightseeing, and I've been running him ragged here. And so let's go easy on him here. He's had a fun week so far. But without further ado, let's introduce Mike Barrows.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. You know, this is an honor for us to be here. This is obviously, I wasn't expecting this, and it's a little more. Chuck wasn't forthcoming with what I was going to be doing, but I welcome it with open arms. And obviously, you guys are all beer fans. Like Chuck said, I have been working for Sierra Nevada for 17 years. I started working there in 1999. And then I started out on the racker. That's filling kegs in 5 gallons. So I was in a lot better shape back then than I am now. And after 6 years, I wasn't much of a beer drinker whenever I started there. It was more just for a job. It was in my town that I was going to school in, and it was one of the better places to work. And being there, you can't help but get into the passion of beer. And after 6 years, I moved into the brew house, and I've been there ever since. The brewery started in 1981. With Ken. There was 2 of them, Ken and Paul, Ken Grossman and Paul Camusi. They were home brewers. The first beer that they brewed as Sierra Nevada Brewing Company was a stout. And then they moved on from that. And then in the late 80s, they moved into our current location in Chico, because now we have another brewery on the East Coast in North Carolina, just outside of Asheville in Mills River. So in the time that I've been there, the brewery has had construction going on non-stop. Expanding cellars, expanding new brew houses, a pilot brewery, a nano brewery. So our main brew house, our first brew house was a 100-barrel system. It's still next to the pub, still going. It's a hands-on, levers, hands. It's pretty much manual. I enjoy brewing in that brew house a lot more than the bigger brew house. That's a lot. It's nicer, but it's pretty much you're monitoring at everything. Whereas in the smaller 100-barrel brew house, it is hands-on, and if you mess up, you mess up. And then we have a 10-barrel system in our pilot brewery where we can figure things out, kind of play with stuff, and if it's good, we can vamp it up into the 100-barrel, and then even more so into the 200-barrel system. We in our pilot system, it is kind of a production, but on obviously a smaller scale. That's where you get your limited release. I don't know if those types of beers make their way all the way out here, but if you come out to Chico or even to North Carolina, there are stuff that you can only get in our tap rooms. So that's kind of exciting. We also have a nano brewery, which is basically a vamped up homebrew system, so we can try even stranger things, and that does go on. I love my job. Again, like I told you, I wasn't much of a drinker, let alone beer. Whenever I moved up to Chico to go to college, but being around Sierra Nevada, you can't help it. So I look at it like I fell down the rabbit hole into probably the best beer ever. That's my opinion. I think a lot of people feel that way. I am a hoppy beer kind of guy. You know, I love the lagers. I love the pilsners, you know, all those, but I'm a hop head. And it's nice to be where I work whenever you've been turned to be a hop head. We're going to be tasting 5 beers, and we're going to start off with our newest that we came out in January. It's a gose style, kind of a tart, mild sour that we add prickly pear puree, which is the cactus fruit, into the kettle, and also ground up coriander and a grapefruit peels. So whenever you taste it, you kind of get a great mouthfeel. That's from your prickly pear, and then you get a little bit of sour or tart that is from the grapefruit peels, and then at the end you get that little bit of sour that is from our lactobacillus, our sourwort that we introduce into the kettle as we're getting ready to boil and add the minimal amount of hops. So, thank you all for coming. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's try our first beer.
And this is called Otra Vez.
Starts off nice. Nice mouthfeel again with that tartness from the grapefruit peels, and then a little sour, just a little bit at the end there. When we started talking about doing a sour beer, what was the original talk, we're a little reluctant because when you're dealing with these little creatures, you know, it's a bacteria basically. It can cause problems and wreak havoc throughout your brewery, and it could cause major problems. So we put in the infrastructure, piping, designated certain tanks to raise this bacteria for the sourwort. Besides being scared, basically, because it could run rampant throughout your whole brewery and cause problems, we decided on a gose style. It's not a very popular at the time, but it's an old world kind of a traditional style, and we actually have a German that comes in, and he's our computer guy, and he was asking us, why are you doing this? We've been doing goses for hundreds of years in Germany, and we've sold probably a 6-pack of them, you know. But Ken, our owner, was headstrong about wanting to try this, and I think that we've come up with a pretty good version of it. Yeah,
What are you guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, I want to hear some. Yes, ma'am.
What makes it a gose style versus a gose enthusiasm?
Same thing. It's basically the same thing. There's no. We don't add lactic acid to this. We actually make the sourwort, and in our 100-barrel system we make the wort unboiled, send it to a tank. We inoculate it with the bacteria basically, and then it's 100 barrels, and then we send 20 barrels per batch to our 200-barrel system. And then that's how and then it gets boiled. Exactly. So we brew a normal beer in the big brew house, and then introduce this 20 barrels of the sourwort into that. Boil it, and then it's good to go. But it's that initial 100 barrels that you're making that sour wort that it's scary because it can go very, very badly. It's very refreshing. It's at first we were a little, okay, well, this is kind of different, but it's been positive. It's people try it. A lot of people haven't heard of it. You guys are obviously beer enthusiasts, so you've probably heard of the style. And it's actually making a comeback. There are a lot of breweries that are starting to make a gose beer. Are there any other comments or anything on this?
Is there anybody in the room that doesn't like goses at all that likes this? Because I'm just curious because a lot of goses are a little heavy on the salt. And
It's very mild.
sort of not drinkable, and a lot of other ones are a little too sour.
And you notice that, Chad, with this beer here, you're not getting overwhelmed by salt by any means. Some of you have got really good palates, probably are detecting a pinch, maybe a pinch of salt at the end of your palate there. But we definitely did not want to overload this style of beer with salt. What gose is known for, it's for the saltiness of the content of the beer. We went really subtle on the salt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, we like to call it tart, not sour, just slightly tart with the grapefruit. And again, you get that nice mouthfeel up front with the cactus. But we really wanted to balance this out to make it very refreshing. And we like to call it patio drinking beer. 4.5% alcohol, very, very sessionable, very, very drinkable.
Yeah, it ends up like 6 IBUs at the end.
Yeah.
So it's very, very drinkable. It's down by the creek, down by the river kind of a beer. We came out with this in January, and even in Chico, it's not that hot at that time of year. So we're banking on this is going to be a big one this summer. So we're really excited about it. It's a good style. It's a good representation of a gose beer. Just like you're saying, not too salty, but that sour and tart, and then it's also got that hint of coriander in there a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yes. Where did the name come from? Otra Vez it's Spanish for another one, basically, or another time, again. So it's very drinkable. So you have one, and you want another one. So, any other questions? Comments? Dislikes? Because there's a back door right there. Okay. Well, yes, sir. It's not hoppy, so you're not getting that. You're not getting that lingering. It's very mild hops. I think for our, if I remember right, our 200 barrels of per brew, it's like 6 pounds of hops in the first edition, which is basically nothing, and then another 9 pounds for your second edition, and then you add in your coriander and the grapefruit peels. I think what you're thinking of is that it's just not hoppy. And it's not really and it's not yeasty.
That's a good call.
It's just really smooth. It's a different thing.
Yeah. It's not designed to linger on the palate, and what it does, with it being very drinkable the way it is, it leaves just enough for you to want another one. Otra Vez. Yeah.
So the brewery, yes, sir.
Do you filter and pasteurize?
No pasteurization at our brewery.
Was this one filtered?
This was filtered, yes. We plate filter or we centrifuge. Yeah. It's refreshing, and I'm looking forward to this summer. Like I said, down by the creek, putting a few of these back. Let's see. Our next one, I believe, is going to be the Hop Hunter. So this is our hop bomb. It's not. I don't know if you guys are familiar with our beers, but we have our IPA, our torpedo, and then we have our extreme hop bomb, the Hoptimum. This is kind of like in the middle of those. We this is an IPA that we add hop oil to it. That is steam distilled, fresh, wet hops right in the field, in the hop gardens. So it's kind of a new thing. So and to give you an idea, for a case of beer, 24 12-ounce bottles, it's about a drop of hop oil. That's how it kind of breaks down.
It's very concentrated.
It's very concentrated. So our hop hunter is also torpedoed. So we have it's this ingenious contraption that Ken came up with, where as the beer is chilled, it's already chilled. It's already been, all the yeast has been taken out of the tank, and then we run that chilled beer through a vessel that is jam-packed with hops. And it's just slowly going through there. It's sort of I don't want to call it a cheater dry hop, but it's kind of a cheater dry hop, but not really. And it actually, I think it does a better job. And then what is actually being an employee at the brewery, when they pull these torpedoes off of these tanks, they obviously still have beer in them, and then so as they're cleaning them out, you have to open them up and drain them, and then you get that little bit that comes out of the bottom of that thing. That is delicious. We need to find some way of like the second runnings of the Hop Hunter or something, like to put that into a 750 bottle, and put that out there. Yes. In the Hop Hunter, it's Magnums, and I believe there are. I have cheater notes because I knew that you guys are going to be asking questions like this. Chinooks, Simcoes, Cascades, Crystals. So in the aromatics, Crystals and Simcoes and Cascades. Cheers again.
What you guys are going to get out of this is give it a nose. Really give it a good nose. You're going to get a lot of hop aroma, and that's from the distilled hop oil. It's going to give you a big nose. But then whenever you drink it, your profile is going to be a little drier than a typical IPA. It's going to be a little lighter. So you're going to be kind of surprised. It's like, whoa, this smells big, but it's very sessionable and very drinkable. 6.2% alcohol.
Yeah.
60 IBUs on this.
IBUs.
So very, very drinkable IPA. But again, that distilled hop oil really gives it a lot of floral notes to it when you smell it.
Yeah, it's got that tutti fruity.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It actually imparts this different flavoring to it because we get the wet hops right off the vine, and then they steam distill them, and you're getting these flavors that are fresh. That, even if you get these hops as quickly as you can to the brewery, they are still going to start to oxidize because that's just the nature of cutting a plant. So we actually get it and stop that oxidation by steam distilling these hops, and then we can add that to the beer on the cold side. Well, we are pumping the beer through this torpedo as it's still in the uni, and the original reason for this was to free up a tank, because whenever you dry hop, you fill up a tank, and then you actually hang these basically tea bags of hops into another tank, and then transfer over to that. And with we just pumping out the beer, and we just wanted to keep going. So Ken came up with this thing, and it turned out amazing. amazing. It's just kind of for a need to open up tanks. He fell upon this awesome idea.
And these torpedoes aren't little. I mean, we're talking about what, the 7-8 foot
Yeah.
tall
Yeah.
canisters.
You
they're
need
huge.
You need a powered lift to kind of move these things around. And when they're pulled off the tanks and they're wet hops inside, they're very, very heavy. Any other questions, comments? Yes, sir. 6'2". Oh, geez, here we go.
It's kind of interesting that you guys are using oil, and on the other hand, you're sort of known for using whole cone hops.
Right.
I was wondering if you would just briefly talk about that, because I know that's something that people have talked about in this class a long time, is that you guys still do that, and not a lot of people do, so I'm sure you're not involved in the contracting, but can you tell us a little bit?
Absolutely. We are the #1 user of whole cone hops. And we still do that. It's a tradition thing, and Ken wants to keep with that. So it was kind of a big deal for him. Ken is our owner, and he's all about tradition and keeping it real. It was kind of a big deal for him to actually do that. But the flavors that we got out of that oil was too good to pass up. So we decided to put it into another IPA that it's lighter than our torpedo as far as alcohol and IBUs, but it's very drinkable. You get that tutti fruity nose on it, and that and that fruit flavor too. Any other questions? Most of our hops are from the Northwest, Washington. No, we send our thieves up there, and they make a choice. I mean, the big thing is they get the hops, they do this to them, they smell them, they're like, we don't like that, or we do like that. That's what we want. And it's all. I mean, you can have a grower that has a field, on these rolling hills. And from hill to place, they could be the exact same hops, but they're totally different. So in our lot numbers for our hops, they have the grower number, the field, and where the estate that they're from. So, I mean, just the same hop farm, you can get the same hops from different parts of this farm that impart different flavors and aromas and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting.
So how does that work as far as projecting? Like when you're doing hop contracts?
Well, we are looking for a specific nose, aroma for our beers.
You guys are contracting for that hill on that farm from that grower.
And it's more, and it's getting challenging, obviously.
Maybe that year. Yeah.
Right.
It depends. I mean, and the next year it may be different.
Yeah.
It all depends.
There's 4,000 breweries out there now across the country. So I mean, game on. It definitely becomes more and more of a challenge every year.
Any other questions?
Hop Hunter. Oh, the beer we're starting.
Oh,
I'm gonna go talk. We're gonna get into this right now, guys. The beers that we're gonna start into. Thank you. This is the Ovila line of beers that we're gonna be trying here. We've got 3 of these beers from our Ovila line that we're gonna start with. Just give you a little backstory about what the Ovila series is. It's our take on Abbey ales. This is a collaboration that we do with the Abbey of New Clairvaux. It's a monastery located in Vina, California, which is about 20 miles north of Chico, California, just north of the brewery. There's a great story. I mean, if you guys get a chance, really Google the New Clairvaux, the Abbey of New Clairvaux, and there's a really great story about the monastery that they're building. It's a monastery that was actually built in Spain back in the 1400s. William Randolph Hearst, he was a big rich guy back in the 1920s. The newspaper king back in the day, saw this monastery in Spain and said, "I want this." Had it dismantled, shipped over to San Francisco, California, piece by piece, and was in the process of getting this monastery built for a summer home that he wanted. You guys are familiar with the Hearst Castle in San Mateo, California. This was going to be a summer home that he was going to put together. Well, then the Great Depression hit. He fell in hard times. The monastery actually ended up being abandoned, and it stayed in crates over in San Francisco Park for a number of years. The monastery came across this information about these stones that were still sitting out in the park. Came to the city, and the city said, "Take it. You can have it. Do what you want with it." No blueprints to this monastery, how to put it together. It literally was a work of just a work of passion just to get this monastery pieced together and built. They approached Ken Grossman and said, "Look, we would like to work in a collaboration of some type of Abbey Ale with you, and proceeds of the sales go towards the building of the monastery in California." So what we're trying here first, Mike, I'll let you get into the beers, but I just want you to get a little backstory. So whenever you see, these gift packs and these bottles, you're actually helping out. There's a good story behind the beers there. It's not just our take on a Belgian style beer. There's a good story behind this beer here. So the first beer we're trying here, Mike, is the Saison.
Is the Sage, yeah.
Yeah, with Saison with Sage here.
And anytime that we can, we use ingredients that they actually grow on their 600-acre land in Vina. Mm-hmm. So the sage that is actually in this beer is from their monastery. So and they've actually come to our brewery, and they've got the robes, the whole thing. It's really interesting. So what we've got here is a Saison. It's 7.9% alcohol. Yeah. It's really strong nose of sage. And I have to give a backstory on this. The first time that we did this, we got bags of sage, and it's dried out, sticks and leaves, and they, according to our brew logs, it said toss it into the kettle, and so we did, and then it clogged up everything. It caused problems like you would not believe. So we ended up. It's very technical. I don't know if you guys can keep up with this, but we threw these bags of sage on the ground and then stepped on them. And then just crushed them and then put them into the kettle. So it was a learning process. The kettle. So as we're striking the kettle, as we're knocking out, our outlet is about, like a 3-inch. And then so you've got, it's just basically a snafu that wouldn't let anything get through there. Yep, it was like a clog of hair. Yes.
Run the pipe cleaner through, and yeah.
We had to climb in there, and it's hotter than Hades in there, and clean all those sticks and leaves out of there. So whenever you drink this, you're getting sage. It kind of at 7.9, it's kind of boozy, but that sage really hides it. You don't really get it. Even whenever you smell it, you're getting the sage. You're not really getting that heat out of there. It doesn't taste boozy at all. But it's 7.9. I know you're a stickler for the ABV there. I know.
But what you're getting is that Belgian style taste, your palate. Yes. Little bread, little maltiness. The sage is kind of hiding a little of the alcohol. That's in the beer there.
The IBUs are like 30, 31. So you're not really. I think even if you had it at 40 or maybe 45, that sage would kind of mask that anyway. Yeah. But it's a nice saison. It's really really nice. They these guys are so interesting. They are so interesting. You know.
They actually have a winery too.
Yeah.
They actually that's what they're known for is they sell wine on their property, and I've been up there a few times now since my taking a few trips up to Chico, and I made it a point to go up to visit the monastery, and to visit and to meet with them, and they're a really good group of people. Very 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 hospitable. The monastery is beautiful. I wish we had a PowerPoint presentation where I can just show you a picture of the monastery. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful where they're at. The construction is still being done, but it's absolutely beautiful. Again, if you guys get a chance, Google it. The Abbey of New Clairvaux. You'll see pictures of that monastery that's being built. It is absolutely beautiful.
And these stones that Chuck was talking about earlier, they were stored on pallets in Golden Gate Park for years, just gathering dust, gathering dirt, leaves. I mean, they're like 2 feet, 3 feet. They're huge. Yes, sir.
We just saw a Channel 9 thing, NPR. It was about that. It's a bunch of low stone buildings. They got all these things. And it's not just that they're having to find out which one goes.
They're going
Exactly.
by old pictures and stuff like
Exactly.
that. Yeah, it's
One guy who's like arranging these things, and he walks around with a rock. And
it's human Legos is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's adult Legos. I mean, yeah, it's adult Legos.
The
yeah.
pieces they can't find or have gone missing or not, they fabricate and they
Yeah.
and they fill it in. So when you actually look inside the monastery, they will tell you which parts are the original and which parts were remanufactured, refit, with the new stones. It is really cool. Yeah. It is really neat.
Yeah, it's very historic. Yeah, it's cool. Well, the beer part for them is just a small part. I mean, they appreciate the help that they're getting and all that, but they got other things going on, and they have been for years. Well, again, cheers, everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So the next beer we're going to go into is the brown ale with mandarin and cocoa nibs.
Another Belgian style. We in the brew house we add cocoa nibs and cocoa powder into the mash tun as the mash is doing its saccharification, and then in the kettle as we're boiling we add whole mandarins that have been smashed that were grown on the grounds of New Clairvaux, and then also orange peel. It's you're getting the brown ale, your traditional brown ale, and then you're also getting some chocolate, and then you get that nice citrus going on. I'm sure somebody wants to know the ABV on that one. All of our Ovilas in this box, the IBUs are around 30, but the alcohol, the ABV on this one is 7.3. I think they range from like 28 to 31 or somewhere around there. But the alcohol on the brown is 7.2, 7.3. The Ovila Saison with sage. Yes. And then this is our Ovila Brown with mandarins and cocoa. So we have cocoa nibs and cocoa powder that is added to the mash tun.
And you're getting that on your nose. Can you guys detect that? Now smell. You're getting the cocoa.
But you get that brown ale, like
Yeah.
that
The
brown
brown
ale
ale,
nose.
yeah.
That traditional, really nice. You had a question back here. What's that?
Well,
that's Chuck's area.
It's been out now for about 3 weeks. We got our summit guys right over here. They're going to be here tonight for sale. Just FYI.
What they look like are pre-packed,
Yes.
so there aren't a lot of them around yet. I think that they're
No.
starting to be distributed, or they've only been out for a week or something.
We're going on maybe 2 to 3 weeks on it. Yeah.
They're new.
We do not have a lot of them because they're expensive. I'll just say that because they are. But so we've got about 8 of these packs.
There's not very many of them to begin with.
Mike, can you give the story about, because this is something I'm trying to learn too. You've got doubles, triples, quads. So this is a quad.
High alcohol.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We're going high alcohol.
Yes. So this is our take on a Belgian quad, and we add 100 pounds of cherries that are grown at the monastery into our kettle during the boil, and then we also inject some cherry concentrate into the tank as it's cold. So you get that initial like Bing cherry, and then you also get that another cherry flavor towards the end.
You guys should be able to get that in your nose. Are you guys getting that on your nose there? I mean, yeah, I'm detecting it. It's really, really nice.
So this is a little over 10% ABV,
Yeah, so we're gonna go out with a bang here.
and then I think that this is like a 28 IBU. All of these are between like 28 and 30 IBUs. Your Belgians aren't really about the hops; they're about the yeast and whatever flavorings that you can impart into that beer. So we add the 100 pounds of. I mean, it's 3 buckets of cherries that you're dumping into the kettle. I mean, it's stems and everything, and they are actually very, very good. They taste like the topping on like cheesecake, like those kind of cherries, And the syrup or the concentrate syrup is the same thing. It tastes like the topping of the cheesecake. Again, cheers, everybody. We ended it on the big dog. Got a nice cherry nose, and then at the end you get that nice cherry flavor. Yeah, yeah. You can. Yeah, it's easy to go
Yeah.
that way with it.
And with it being 10% alcohol, it doesn't taste heavy. You're not getting the alcohol burn on this. It's very smooth, which makes it a little dangerous. but it's very, very, very nice.
Questions? I know you got a question. Yeah,
Come on, Danny.
I'll come back to you. I'm sorry. You got to speak up a little bit. Right. No, it's after it's chilled. It's done its thing. So we add that into the cold tank.
You had a question there? Yeah.
It's on tap in Chico. Yeah. All of our beers that we brew are on tap in Chico. And there are beers that you cannot get anywhere else but in our tap room. So make the trip. I made the trip out here. Come on, man.
Where maybe take a field trip out there, Chad? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Hey, let me know. I'm coming with you.
I saw a hand.
The head of the Abbey New Clairvaux actually took Ken and his son Brian to Belgium for a trip, and they actually got to go visit some of the Trappist breweries there.
That is actually true. And
Yeah.
the yeast that we use,
Yes.
they brought back.
Yes, that was actually one of the yeast
It was
strain that uses
smuggled.
for this beer. Yeah, it was.
I don't
It
wanna
was
tell you
actually
where.
brought back. Yeah. What it is, I don't know, but they're definitely, yeah, they definitely, the yeast strain that came back from Belgium is actually being used for this
Right.
for this beer.